Hey, this is Warren Redlick with the AI stocks report. Tesla ripped up big, almost 4% increase. It's been going on a tear recently. We're going to talk about why. We're going to have a big deep dive into Google. Is Google in stealth mode? Are people undervaluing it? We're going to talk about that. The AISR index was flat. Give you a quick buzz on what happened in the stocks, quick rundown on the news, and then we're going to talk about Tesla. We're going to talk about Google's deep dive. Are you ready? Let's go. We're going to start with the buzz on Tesla. It's been going strong for a while now, and Piper Sandler analyst Alexander Potter reaffirmed his bullish stance on Tesla, $500 price target. He talked about the fact that basically, when you look at Tesla's share price, Optimus is free. Tesla is developing this humanoid robot. They're pretty much the leader. If you're paying attention, they're the leader in real world AI. They're the leader in robotics. We know this robot is coming soon. We know they're getting ready to scale production because they've wrapped up the Model S and Model X lines, which is where they're going to build it. If you followed me for long enough, you know my take that the market has not really properly valued Robotaxi, which is going to be trillions. The gross profit on 10 million Robotaxis is $500 billion a year, which is a 25x. The stock price of Tesla just on Robotaxi alone becomes absurd. Optimus maybe 10x that. So there's tremendous, huge opportunity in what's going on in Tesla going forward. There's a lot of noise in the Tesla community with drama about a potential Tesla SpaceX merger. We may talk about that in a future video. Other stocks worth mentioning, the ones that were down, TSMC saw mild profit taking. The stock declined a little bit. Some notes on Taiwan market concentration surfaced, but TSMC is in a great position. I don't see how anybody meaningfully competes with them. The fundamental question for all these companies is if the market keeps growing, their demand just keeps growing, and the only challenge for most of these companies, you're going to hear me beat this drum. The challenge for most of these companies is, can you increase your supply to meet all the demand that's coming? And if you can't meet that, even if they can't meet the demand, that just means their prices probably go up and their margins go up. The biggest loser in today's market is Google. We're going to talk about Google shortly in this video. Alphabet had the largest decline of the group. They've had a big run up in the last 12 months. There's this perspective that there's something wrong with Google. I don't understand it. Google's PE ratio is basically the bottom of the group of companies that we talk about. I think Google has great long-term potential. We're going to dive into that in a couple minutes. I see Google having tremendous potential to be the world leader in AI. The biggest news item that is catching attention in the media, maybe less important in my opinion, is the Pentagon is expanding AI partnerships across frontier labs, but excluding Anthropic. They've got agreements with SpaceX, which is XAI, or SpaceX XAI as it's now called, or SpaceX AI as it's now called, the subdivision of SpaceX, OpenAI, Google, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, Oracle, and Reflection. So to be clear, the foundation models are SpaceX AI with Grok, OpenAI with ChatGPT and Codex, Google with Gemini. Anthropic and Claude have been left out of this deal. There's this dispute that sparked a while back where Anthropic was basically telling the Department of Defense, this is what we're not going to do because they have some sort of moral code, not realizing that it's not their job to decide what the US military can do. You weren't elected to decide what the US military can do. And if you don't want to cooperate and supply your product or service to the US military and let them use it, then they're not going to use it. Now, I just think that the demand from the military and government for AI is going to be dwarfed by the demand by the consumer sector and then the business sector. B2B and B2C are going to be much larger than B2G. It's pretty much, I don't know how much the United States government is going to allow other countries to use AI to the same extent that the military is going to use it, the US military is going to use it. I'm not sure how big of a deal this is, but from what I understand, it was really essential in the war with Iran. And notably, Palantir is not mentioned here, I think because Palantir is already deeply embedded in the US military. And so they don't need to be a part of this agreement. They're already in deep. It is a positive that we see government adopting AI. I'm not confident that government really knows how to adopt AI. And yes, there's some tech leaders in the Trump administration that might be helpful. There's a lot of good people that came in with Elon or came in with David Sachs. Maybe that makes a difference, but fundamentally, the US government bureaucracies, including the military bureaucracies, I think it'll be hard for them to fully adopt AI in a way that makes a huge difference. Certainly not going to save us taxpayers money. That'll be the day. But, still, Good to see that we're seeing progress in AI, and government may be making moves towards using it better. Before we dive into the full deep dive on Google, I just want to mention that coming up soon, about a week from now, Google I/O is taking place in Mountain View, California, shaping up to be one of the most important AI events of the year. Google is one of our core companies. It's at the centerpiece, obviously, of Google I/O. The conference will focus heavily on its next phase of its AI strategy, moving from helpful models to truly agentic systems that can act autonomously on behalf of users. I have been trying to use agentic AI in my work, both preparing for these videos and for building my AI apps, my language learning apps. And I haven't seen agentic AI working in a way that I want to use it. Like, oh, well, we can hook up, Codex to your Fidelity account so it can get options prices. Like, I'm not hooking an AI up to my brokerage account. That's not happening. There's like I'm sure that there's people who are comfortable letting an AI get access to some critical tools, but once it starts touching my critical data and the potential to like interfere with my money, yeah, it's not going there. I don't know what you're gonna have to do to get me to trust that. And I assume that I'm not the only person who's gonna have that problem. We should expect major updates to the Gemini family, including a new Omni variant that appears designed for deeper multimodal and agentic capabilities. There's leaks suggesting Google will showcase AI agents that can handle complex multi step tasks across apps like Gmail, Calendar, Search, and Android, a significant step toward practical everyday AI assistance. I use Google a lot. A really good example for me is I use YouTube Studio. When I post this video later, I can look at what happened with the analytics, and it will prompt me with, do you want Gemini to give you a rundown? And it's not very good. So if it's early, it just doesn't have data. If it's late, like what value are you adding to me? So I I don't know how much that's going to matter for other people. Like, the fact that it doesn't play well for me doesn't mean it won't play well for others. I'm not just talking about Gemini. I mean, this is just in general with AIs. Like, I think they have valid uses, and I think we're going to see killer apps. We're going to talk about that in the future. We're going to see killer apps and other things come along that are going to make more people adopt. But when you start saying, I want the AI to get access to my brokerage account or my bank account, I think a lot of people are going to say, wait a minute, I'm not comfortable. Like, do you really want AI making, like, do you want AI making trades for your brokerage account? I'm not ready for that. I mean, I'm an early adopter and I'm not ready for that. Also at Google I/O, we should expect hardware integration to be front and center. Smart glasses with real spatial computing overlays and AI powered features are expected. I don't think smart glasses are going anywhere. I think we've tried that before. Alongside a new AI native laptop operating system, Andre Karpathy talked about AI as the operating system. I think it's really interesting how that might work out. I'm not sure I see it, but I can see where this might make sense. These announcements reinforce Alphabet's full stack approach that they've got frontier models, custom hardware, cloud infrastructure, massive distribution. We're going to dive into that in the deep dive. For long-term investors, I/O is a key moment. You can see how is Google translating its AI research into scalable products that can compete with OpenAI, Anthropic, Grok, and others, while leveraging its unique advantages in data distribution and silicon. It's not just about new demos. It's about execution on the multi-year AI platform shift. So let's go into the deep dive. So my theory is that Google is in stealth mode, and this is spy Google. Google is sneaking up on everybody. We think we know what's going on in the world of AI, but Google has secrets, and it's gonna shock everyone. With this I/O coming, I want to zoom out and make a bigger point. I believe Google is massively underrated and undervalued in the current AI race. Most people still think of Google as the search company or maybe the YouTube company. But when you look at what actually matters for the next phase of AI, especially inference at scale, I am like the big beat the drum. Inference is everything. Google's actually one of the best positioned players out there, and I think the market is sleeping on it. So let me explain why. Google has a legitimate top tier frontier model in Gemini. It's not just competitive. In many benchmarks, it's right there with the best. They have one of the strongest technical teams in the world. Demis Hassabis, the guy behind DeepMind, has done amazing things. Their team has done amazing things. This isn't just marketing. Demis and his team have a long track record of pushing the boundaries of what's possible. You got AlphaGo with Move 37. You've got AlphaFold. They've done some like game-changing things with AI so far. To believe these guys can't do more is disturbing. They're great people. They're very talented. They're very smart. They work very hard. Here's where it gets really interesting. Google has two structural advantages that almost no one else has at this scale. Number one is inference cost. They've built their own custom chips working with Broadcom, TPUs, tensor processing units, that give them significantly lower inference costs than companies running everything on NVIDIA GPUs or AMD GPUs or whatever. In an AI world that's moving from training to heavy inference, it's a massive advantage. You have training compute, which helps you make your model better. But inference compute is how we access it. We don't use the training compute. We say, hey, tell me something. Hey, do this for me. And that's inference compute. So inference compute ends up mattering more. And I see a world of killer apps coming. And we don't know what they are. But when the killer apps come, inference is going to be the big deal. They're going to drive greater and greater demand for inference. Who's got the most inference compute? Number two is distribution. Google has an insane footprint with search, Android, YouTube, Chrome, Workspace, over 2 billion users. When AI starts moving beyond the tech crowd, the nerds like me, and into everyday life, that distribution becomes incredibly powerful. I see this as sort of like an Apple versus Windows thing, Macintosh versus Windows thing, right? To me, Macintosh was objectively better. Windows was objectively worse. But Windows got deeper into the corporate world, into the government world, into the court systems, and everybody adopted Windows, and Macintosh became secondary, even though it was clearly better. And I'm recording this video on a Mac laptop, and I have an iPhone. I do have an Android. I haven't touched Windows as long as I can remember. Most AI labs, there's four main AI labs. They have great models, but very few have great models plus cheap inference plus massive distribution. Hint, XAI, SpaceX XAI, and Grok have cheap inference. They don't necessarily have the same quality of distribution as Google, but X has a big distribution platform. So we'll see. Maybe Grok can keep up with that, and maybe Grok and XAI and SpaceX can keep up with that, especially as they expand into space with space AI satellites. We'll see. So inference is the core of my thesis. I believe inference is going to be the real driver of AI value over the next 3 years, not just training bigger models. Bigger models matter, but everybody's going to have great models. As we move toward agentic AI, systems that actually do things for people, and I'm not convinced that agentic AI is the whole future of AI, inference demand is going to explode in many ways, not just agentic AI, video demand, killer apps we don't even see coming. The company that can deliver high quality inference at the lowest cost at massive scale wins. Doesn't mean everybody, I think everybody wins, it's who wins the most. That's exactly where Google is positioned. They're less dependent on NVIDIA than almost any other major player because of their TPUs. Of course, Grok has AI5 and AI6 coming and beyond in D3. And they may have a bigger edge. Just to be clear, XAI, SpaceX may have a bigger edge because they're skipping 2 layers in the chip hierarchy. They're skipping both NVIDIA and Broadcom down to right to the chip maker. And then Terafab means they're making their own chips. So they're skipping 3 layers, and that enables them to get lower cost inference compute in the long run. Not to mention putting it in space where it's easier to grow, assuming you can launch. But getting back to Google, they've been optimizing this TPU tensor processing unit inference advantage for years, and they have the cloud infrastructure and data advantage to actually scale it. Well, everyone is focusing on who has the smartest model today or who has the best coding model today. The real question is who can serve that intelligence to hundreds of millions of people at reasonable cost, and I would say billions of people at reasonable cost. Right now, Google looks like one of the only companies that can actually do that at scale. I think the Chinese might be able to do it. Will they have intelligence to that level? I think we're going to see Grok, XAI, SpaceX get there. Not sure that they're there. This isn't a slam dunk for Google. There's real risks. Google has historically been slow to ship consumer AI products. They had a head start and still got beaten in market by OpenAI and the public imagination. So that execution risk is real. There's also the bigger question, will AI in its various forms eat into Google's core search business over time? It's a bear case and it's worth taking seriously. And to be clear, like my use of Google has plummeted. I don't use Google search nearly as much as I used to. I am much more reliant on ChatGPT and Grok for my searches if I'm trying to understand something. I do still use Gemini, and I do still use embedded Gemini, where Gemini is embedded in other Google products. I do sometimes use it. But I would say my Google search is down. And if I'm an early adopter and other people follow my path, which is a big if, then Google search plummets and Google's revenue goes down. So far, with all this growth in AI, Google's holding on, if not growing, in search still. But Google isn't just defending search. They're building the agent layer, they're building AI frontier model, they're building AI inference with their data distribution and inference advantages. They're actually in a strong position to win the next layer of what's coming, whether it's agentic AI, killer apps, whatever. I think Google is one of the few companies that has all the pieces: frontier models, custom silicon, hyperscale infrastructure, and real world distribution. Most AI companies have one or two of those. Google has most of it, if not all of it. That's why I believe they're one of the best positioned players for the next 3 to 5 years, especially if inference becomes the main battleground, which I'm convinced it will. This isn't about being perfect, it's about having the right combination of assets at the right time. Windows wasn't better than Mac. It had the right combination of assets and marketing and whatever at the right time. And fundamentally, when you look at these stocks, Google has the lowest PE ratio of all the stocks in the group, despite, in my opinion, having maybe the best potential to grow. So that's an interesting question. Why is Google's PE so low? What is it that people are worried about? What is it that the market is worried about that's keeping Google from growing massively? If Google is able to succeed in the way I see them succeeding, their stock price is going to more than double in the next couple of years, and it's a really good bet. What do you think? Are you sleeping on Google too? Do you think the market is right to be skeptical? Do you think I've got it wrong? Am I missing something about Google's flaws, or am I overstating their advantages? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want, I can do a follow-up on how this compares to Microsoft and OpenAI together, or Amazon, or whoever. And please become a YouTube channel member or a subscriber on X or a Patreon supporter in order to get access to my options videos, where I have a new options metric, highly relevant to our conversation about Google, by the way, that helps understand long call options, and understanding what's going on with the long call option market backs into helping you understand what's going on with the stocks. Please like this video, share, and subscribe. Thank you.